Okay, now that we know whether two functions are inverses or not, what we want to be able to do is find an actual inverse. So there's a couple of ways to do this, and you can sort of pick your favorite. One way to do this is to remember that the inverse function is the undoer. So basically you're switching the x's and y's, and you want to solve for x again. So the way to find an inverse is make sure that it's a one-to-one function. If it's not a one-to-one function, then you can't find an inverse. Solve for x, change the x and y, replace y with f inverse. So what you really want to think about is how do you undo what happened in this function? So you can do this a couple of ways. One way that I do it is I say I subtracted 3 and then I multiplied by 1/5. To undo that, I would have to divide by 1/5, which is the same as multiply by 5, and add 3, right? But when I did this, I went in this order, and so to undo it, I have to go in the opposite order. So one thing I could just do is write down these operations. Divide by 1/5, or multiply by 5, and add 3. That would be my inverse. Another way to do that is to take this equation, y equals 1/5 x minus 3, and solve for x. So to solve this guy for x, we multiply both sides by 5. So we have 5y is x minus 3. And then we add 3 to both sides. So x is 5y plus 3. Now we're going to switch the x's and y's. 5x plus 3 is y. So that tells me that f inverse of x is 5x plus 3. Whichever method you like better. If you're okay writing down these steps and then reversing them, that's fine. If not, just do the algebraic way. So in my second function, if I start with this x, I'm going to subtract 2, take the square root, and then add 4. Well, the opposite of that is subtracting 4, squaring, and add 2. When I started, I went in this direction. In the inverse, I need to go in that direction. So if I start with my x, I want to subtract 4, I want to square what I have, and I want to add 2. That should be my inverse. If I do it algebraically, I'm going to say subtract 4 from both sides. Y minus 4 is square root of x plus 2. Square both sides. Y minus 4 squared is x plus 2. Subtract 2 from both sides. Sorry, I switched that to a plus 2 when it was a minus 2. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. Y minus 4 squared plus 2 is x. Now I switch the x and y. X minus 4 squared plus 2 is y. And then I have my inverse. X minus 4 squared plus 2. So whichever method you prefer, that's the one you choose. And finding inverse is just undoing all the operations.